Hello and welcome to Ernée, the French Grand Prix, round 8 of the FIM MX1 MX2 Motocross World Championship. Thanks for joining us here on our MX Live TV studio on the top of the media building here just next to the finish line. I've got 3 guests lined up this afternoon. Elliot Banks-Brown from HM Plant KTM UK in MX1, Jeremy van Horebeek from Kawasaki Racing Team, and Lawrence Klein-Korkamp from Yamaha. He's a racing manager overlooking all activities for Yamaha riders across motocross and, of course, MotoGP as well. But I'm glad to say that on a cloudy, overcast day here, a little bit chilly, I'm joined by our first guest, MX2 rider Elliot Banks-Brown. Elliot, good to see you. First time on the live show, I think, for you, maybe?
Yeah, first time.
But good to have you here. First of all, this weekend, I mean, we just saw your first MX2 race. Great race as well in terms of what happened. But qualifying yesterday, what happened there, just to set the picture? Because it wasn't easy for you, was it?
No, yesterday I had a rough day. You know, in the qualifying race, I got a pretty bad start. And, well, no, actually, I got a really good start, sorry. And then out the back, just landed on the back of someone. He just seemed to roll the jump. It was pretty wet, and I landed on the back of him and had to wait for everyone to come past. So I twisted my thumb back pretty bad and tried to carry on, but it was pretty painful. So strapped up for the race today, and it felt pretty good.
Yeah, there was a lot of water on the track for that qualifying race, wasn't there, compared to what we'd already had. But in terms of the season itself, it's been quite a tough start, hasn't it? Because we saw you at Teufelstal last year, the last Grand Prix. You were having probably your best form in MX2 at that point. Unfortunately, you didn't finish the race. The bike went bang on you. But, you know, I guess from that to coming into 2013, I know you carried a shoulder injury before the start of the season, but even still, it was a tough start to the season for you, wasn't it? Qatar, Thailand.
Yeah, for sure.
What kind of problems did you have?
You know, in Qatar, it wasn't the, you know, I didn't go there and finish where I wanted to, but it was a good start. You know, I finished 12th overall, so it wasn't such a good bad start to the championship. And then we went to Thailand and just had a terrible time there. We had some, well, a lot of bike problems. We seemed to iron them out, and yeah, it's just been a really rough start to a season. I just, you know, a few little things keep happening, and just I haven't really shown what I can do, and it's frustrating.
But obviously, coming back to Europe, Holland was a bit better. You got a 7th there, you got a 10th or 11th in Portugal. So were you a little bit more happy with those kind of races, showing a bit more speed? How did that boost your confidence?
Yeah, it helped me a bit, you know, to show everyone that I can do it, and myself. But you know, just things haven't been going right for me. You know, I even today I crashed, and you know, if I could get everything together, I just need to show what I can do, and you know, what I should be doing. It's just frustrating that it's not happening at a minute, but I'm sure it'll turn around.
Obviously, you arrive in the World Championship this year as an MX2 British champion, you know, from Great Britain. You know, I guess winning that championship the way you won it, the final round, final race against Mel Pocock, who was European champion, of course, last year. How big a deal was that for you? Because coming to Grand Prix is like a step above it we've seen from the atmosphere here this weekend. But doing the British Championship, or any national championship, I guess that's got to be a target for any rider wanting to succeed, hasn't it? And obviously you achieved that last year.
Yeah, for sure. But winning the British Championship was a massive, you know, accomplishment for me, and just a big weight off my shoulders. You know, in my family have won 2 British Championships, my uncle and my grandfather. So, you know, there's a lot of pressure on me to do good, and it seemed like just things hadn't happened for me in the past, and that was my year to win. And you know, it seemed like it wasn't going my way, and then, you know, Mel would have a problem, and then I would capitalise on that, and you know, we're coming into the last race on joint points, and to win it like that was awesome, and it was a big boost of confidence. And you know, at the end of last year, I was even coming to the GPs and showing what I could do. You know, in Italy and in Germany especially, I showed what I can do. But you know, this year, I just, if I can get a good start, I believe I can do that. And yeah, just need to sort Saturday out a bit as well.
And what happened in the first race? I mean, we've got a question here on Twitter for you relating to this. I mean, you made a good start, but then had a couple of crashes on the first lap.
Yeah, I made a really good start from the outside. You know, I think I come around off the tabletop in about 5th. Ferris had a scary moment, and I hit him, and we lost a few places there. But I went up the back hill, and you know, I was pretty close to Tonkoff, and there was a massive rock in the rut, and I couldn't see it, and I just hit it and lost my foot and went down. Got back going, and then we come into a tight corner here before a finish line, and I tried to square off, and someone come on the inside of me and clip my front wheel, and that put me down again.
Yeah, we just have the footage on screen here, actually, just getting held up in that corner and losing a lot of positions. But what happened in this bottom corner here, you say?
I just tried to square up the inside of someone, just turned a bit tight, and I think I didn't expect someone to be really tight on the inside. I think it was Monticelli. I clipped his bike, and we both went down, so that put me even further back. But I managed to come through pretty good. I was a long way behind anyone, but you know, my speed was pretty good. I think the lap times were good enough to be in top 10 quite comfortably. But you know, you can't crash at a GP, or you can't afford to crash on any first lap. So.
How's the track compared today compared to what it was yesterday? Obviously, the qualifying race, they watered quite heavily on what was a very dry, slick circuit. But we've had overnight rain as well, haven't we? I mean, the track looked great this morning, but how was it to ride? Yeah,
the track's really gnarly. It's really one-liney, so you have to stay on that gnarly line, and it's just rocky. You know, it's really hard to get grip on. You're literally just riding on rocks in some places, but you know, the big step down where Jeffrey crashed earlier, yesterday. That's probably the most technical part of the track. It's, yeah, pretty scary every lap you come up to that.
Penultimate corner as well, you know, the little left-hander where you went down on the first lap, that's also difficult, because what our camera angle doesn't show is how steep it is coming out off of that little plateau to go up, what are you, first or second gear through there, and it's also quite loose, rocky, a lot of holes.
Yeah, that is probably the most tricky part of the track. You know, one lap you can get it awesome, and then the next lap you can come around and totally mess it up. But you know, the key to go around there is just hardly any throttle. You're literally climbing up the hill like quarter, not even quarter throttle. If you start spinning the wheel, then you go nowhere. And you know, I think it showed Tony try and turn to get up the inside in the MX1 race, and you know, it's just so slick.
Did you watch that MX1 race?
Yeah, it was awesome.
Where were you watching that, on the bank?
No, I was listening from a camper, and just I was like, oh, he must have passed him now, and you could just hear the crowd go crazy.
Obviously, you've got Matchley Basin coming up later on, August this year. Similar kind of atmosphere there when the Brits do well. Of course, we've had great venues as well in the past, you know, Fox Hills and Hawkstone Park, Farley Castle, of course. But what does it mean to you to ride, you know, the MX2 Grand Prix at Matchley Basin?
No, it's awesome, you know, riding in front of your home crowd. It's just a totally different atmosphere. You know, you're walking around the pitch, you see everyone you know and all the fans. It's just, no, it's an awesome race, you know. It's a bit like, same as the Frenchies here. It's, you know, same sort of thing for them. But, you know, hopefully I'm on good form when I come into Matterley, and, you know, have a good performance in front of my home crowd.
All right, well, look, we've got a couple of questions here for you from Twitter. Little Chris Cam, I think that's what it is. What's your greatest motocross moment to date?
Probably winning the British Championship, to be fair. You know, going in that last round, it was, you know, it was quite a big ask for me to win, and everything seemed to go my way. So, you know, I had a lot of bad luck that year, and it seemed like luck was on my side that day for sure. But also last year, you know, in Germany, I was running second, you know, all the race, and unfortunately my bike broke. But, you know, I showed what I could do, and what I should be doing every week.
And obviously, you know, when you ride in an atmosphere like this one is from Nikki Lee, I think. I've got that right, hopefully. She wonders if, when you ride in an atmosphere like this, you can actually sense it, can you hear it, you know, the atmosphere from the crowd, the intensity from the crowd? Yeah, you can. You know, I'd like to be in a battle where they're cheering for all them other riders around me, but unfortunately I wasn't. I was at the back. So, you know, you can hear it, and even when you're riding around the back, you can sense, you know, what's going on. Obviously, there must be a French person out front doing well, so yeah, it's sometimes a bit off-putting. You know, you can really hear them cheer, and you have to. Sometimes you look over, like, what's happened. But yeah, it's you know, I'd love for that to be me, you know, Matterley. Yeah. And finally, from Tiffany, says here you're normally the king of hole shots, but you know, you seem to always fall sort of like, you know, early on in the race. Is there a reason for that, having grabbed the hole shots?
No. This year I haven't got good starts at all in the GPs, and that's not been ideal, because, you know, I've always been good at starts. We've been working really hard on getting the bike set up again to get me at them starts, because, you know, I've always been good. But yeah, just at the minute I just seem to be going down on the first lap, and that's not what I want and not what I need. So I got to sort that out and yeah, stay on. All right. Well, look, Elliot Banks-Brown, thanks for joining us here, the HM Plant KTM UK ride.
had a tough first race, crashed at the start, as he said, finished second. He got back to 18th, but looking forward to the second moto all the same. Elliot, thanks for joining us up here. Wish you all the best for the second moto, and hopefully it'll be an improvement. We might even see you in the battles with those French guys as well during the race. So Elliot Banks-Brown, he'll leave us now, and we're going to bring in our MX1 rider. And of course, it's going to be the Kawasaki Racing team member, Jeremy van Horebeek, who was third in the FIM MX2 Motocross World Championship last year. But he's an MX1 rookie in 2013. And Jeremy, good to see you. But pre-season for you didn't get up to the best start, did it? A crash or a broken finger.
Yeah.
How much time did you have to stay off the bike as a result of that?
Yeah. I broke my finger like 4 weeks before the first GP, and I was not riding at all before the GP in Qatar. Yeah. So I went straight on the bike, and you know, I lost a lot of points, and yeah, now I'm getting finally back where I belong.
Obviously, Qatar and Thailand were quite tough for you because of the injury. I mean, can we still see the scar on the hand here? Because when I first saw it, I mean, there's only a small scar down here now. Just look on this camera here. It's only very, very small, quite long, but it's healed very nicely. But when I saw that in Qatar, it was one of those, and you're going to ride kind of expressions that I had, you know. But just goes to show, doesn't it, the kind of things that you have to go through as motocross riders. Okay, it's only a broken finger, but it was not. It was so much more than that because it was plated, wasn't it? Yeah,
you know, I have 2 plates and 5 screws in it, and it's also the clutch finger. Yeah. So I nearly couldn't take a start, you know, because you had to hold the clutch for 5 minutes, 5 seconds, you know. Yeah. And was really difficult. But yeah, you know, racing is tough, and everyone has some injuries, you know. And but now I'm finally getting better and better.
Obviously, we said it wasn't the best start of the season, but since Holland, okay, you had a good first mode. Second race wasn't so good. You crashed early on in the race, but at that moment, were you thinking, okay, the hand injury, now the first 2 GPs, and now here? Did you ever think, actually, it's going to be one of those seasons for me when you were looking for something a little bit better, or was it just, you know, business as usual? Were the thoughts not really swayed?
No, yeah, you know. The beginning was difficult, you know, with the mind and the, you know, the injuries. But I said to myself, you know, I know how to ride a bike, and yeah. So I just kept working, and yeah. Now finally
starting to come good.
Yeah.
Like I say, the last 4 motos, now 5. You've not been out of the top 5, have you? It's been a pretty decent.
I don't know, like 5, 6, 4 today. Yeah. Yeah, I just want to keep going and be soon on the podium. But yeah, if it's not today, it will be next week or the week after. You know, it's a learning year for me, and I'm proud of what I'm doing as a rookie in the MX1. And yeah, I just want to keep working and keep going like this.
Talking of rookies, Tommy Searle, who Jeremy raced with in MX2 last year and had his fair share of battles with. How is it, you two being in MX1 at the moment? It's not easy, is it, this class? It's very tough, but you two recently have been having some good action out on the track. How is it riding with him again?
Yeah, you know, it's always, you know, we had a lot of battles with Tommy this year also. You know, he's also a rookie in the MX1, and you know, last weekend or a few weeks ago in Brazil, we had a great battle, and you know, that's how racing goes. You know, it's really good, and it's fun. You know, Tommy is a clean rider. You know, he makes some block passes, but like clean, and that's all right. You know, it's not a big problem, and so we had good battles, and it's always fun to race with Tommy. You know.
First moto today, good start. You were up there right at the sharp end, you know, in the first 3 or 4 places for much of the race, you know. Yeah. How was the atmosphere here? Because obviously Gauthier came past you early on. Yeah. But what was the atmosphere like? Describe that to us. Being involved in the race and having that all around you.
Yeah, you know, it's great. I had a good start, but I was pretty sick this week, and still I'm sick, you know. So the first laps were difficult for me, you know. The pace was intense, and you know, also with Gauthier behind me, the fans went crazy, and I knew it was Gauthier, so I let him by, and I let Clement by to breathe a little bit, because I had not so much air with yeah, you know, with the sickness, you know, and
yeah, it's strange, isn't it? Because up here on the tower, it's pretty windy and pretty cold, but down there, the wind doesn't really get in there, does it? It's quite close, 19 degrees, something like that.
Yeah, down there it's pretty hot, and you know, it's perfect for racing, and I hope we're gonna have a second good moto without rain, and it's gonna be good.
Cool. And Maggiora in 1 week time. Italy, never been there before, have you?
No, never been there, never did practice there, so it's complete new for me, and I'm excited, you know.
Heard a lot about it?
Yeah, I heard a lot about it, and I'm excited to go somewhere new, you know. It doesn't need to be always the same track every year. And we had quite a lot of new tracks this year, so I'm pumped about that.
Got a couple of questions as well, a couple of them the same as we had for Elliot, for both riders. From little Chris Cam, what's your greatest moment to date in motocross? Overall, yeah, your best moment in motocross.
I don't know, you know, when I won my first GP in 2009 was like a big moment to me, and yeah, also to the year before I was still 17 years old and I could go to Butts Creek to the Nations, so it was a pretty big deal, you know. That's the biggest things of my life, I think, the coolest things.
How's it being a factory rider?
It's the best thing, you know. It's always, people say, you know, it's not a big difference, but it is, you know. You have so much more stuff to test and opportunities to make the bike stronger. So, you know, being a factory rider is a big advantage, so it's always cool.
Got a question here from Tiffany LaRue. You often make good starts, more often better than your teammate. Why is that?
I don't know, you know, maybe the reflex, I think. But yeah, we was working hard on the bikes, like you could see, and we started 2 and 3 first moto today. So yeah, it's good, you know. The team worked hard, and I think it's just my reflex, you know, a little bit faster reflex.
You'll be hoping for the same for the second moto, then, won't you? Of course.
Yeah.
Obviously, you've already mentioned the crowd and the atmosphere and everything else, but Jeremy van Horebeek. Kawasaki Racing Team, thanks for joining us up here. I know you're a little bit sick as well, so get yourself off, get yourself in the warm, hot drink and all the rest of it. But thanks for your time and good luck second moto.
Thank you very much.
No problem. Right, I'm going to bring in my third guest now, and he's from Yamaha, and he's a guy called Lawrence Klein Korkamp. He's a racing manager for Yamaha Racing, covers all aspects from motocross, looks after the riders and sort of like more from the promotional side of things, but MotoGP, road race and everything. But Lawrence, good to have you here again. Not the first time on the live show. It's the French Grand Prix. We've got Gauthier Paulin, Jordi Tixier, Dylan Ferrandis, Romain Fevre, just to name a few. No Stephen Frossard.
Exactly, yes.
He must be absolutely distraught, disappointed, because he was back on a bike recently, got injured again. What's the latest with Stephen Frossard?
The latest is that it's looking less bad, let's say, as a week ago.
Right. What was the initial diagnosis then? We know it's knee related.
Yeah, the initial impression was that he again may have torn the ACL.
Yeah.
But now it looks like maybe not the case.
Okay.
It's still a little bit swollen, but the swelling is much less. So we will do another scan by the end of this week, maybe the Monday after. And hopefully everything's going to be fine. He can slowly start riding again. But we have to wait for that. So I am, let's say, much more positive than a week ago.
So he's not going to be, it's fair to say he won't be in Italy at the weekend at Maggiora?
Absolutely not.
Okay. But what about Joel Roulance? Obviously, he's a new rider. You signed him when he was injured after the crash at Matchley Basin last year, but you signed him on his talents as an MX2 rider. He was having to leave the class anyway. He didn't start riding a bike till Christmas Day. That's well documented. What were your expectations, therefore, of Joel Roulance pre-season, knowing that he'd only just started riding December 25th, coming into the toughest class in the world?
Yeah. The whole idea was for him to slowly start the season, because, as you said, he was starting to ride a new bike in a new team, in a new class, so very late, at a very late moment. So the idea was for him to learn in the first part of the season and then slowly grow into the season. And things were going fine in the winter testing, and also the first race was fairly okay. It was okay. It was getting a little bit better, and then he had quite a big crash in Italy. So that didn't help his confidence, and now this confidence has to slowly come back to him.
But it's not easy going from MX2 to MX1. So is he meeting your expectations at the moment then, would you say?
At the moment, I don't think he's meeting his own expectations, and also not the Yamaha's. It's maybe not easy at the same time when Steven came from MX2.
Yeah.
he was the one challenging Tony, and he finished second in the championship in his first year. So,
but on that basis, you could argue that some guys are best suited to big bikes, aren't they? We could see it with Gautier, we can see it also with Frossard. We've seen it in the past as well with other riders. Bobryshev, for instance, you know, big guy, strong guy, and you need to be for the current MX1 bikes.
Yes.
Just still talking with MX1 at the moment, it's been a tough season, hasn't it, for Michele Rinaldi? Obviously, Joel not performing because of the reasons we've just mentioned, Stephen being injured again. I guess the lowest point for him being involved with Yamaha would have been the Italian Grand Prix, where both guys failed to make the grid.
Yes.
You know,
absolutely. It's just, you know, it's difficult to imagine. And we had many years where we didn't have any severe injuries.
And
let's say
barely missing even a Grand Prix.
No, exactly. So I think the biggest one was with Josh when he was leading with more than 100 points, which was 2007, I think.
That was probably the biggest shock, wasn't it? 107 points and still didn't win the championship.
Unbelievable. But actually, in all the years before, let's say around 50 years, we didn't have any really big injuries. And then the last 2 years, it's just really bad, you know. It is part of the sport. We all know that. And in the years before, we've seen it with other teams as well. So it's something that you have to get through. But it's not easy, of course.
Sure. On a brighter note, you signed Dean Ferris for MX2. Had a great start to the season, second in Qatar. Had it not been for his collarbone injury before Valkenswaard, the Netherlands, round 3 when we came back to Europe, he could have been challenging for the title this year, couldn't he?
I think so. We were hoping for that, of course. But he was doing from the beginning of the season much better than we even expected, because we felt he needs some time to grow into it, because he was riding MX1 last year. So, but no, he's doing really, really well. So, yeah.
Just unfortunate. I mean, are you able to say what happened to Mel Pocock in the first race here? Because Mel came out, looked like he had a knee injury or an ankle injury, certainly a leg injury, maybe.
He had a problem from yesterday.
Qualifying.
Yeah, the problem yesterday, and what I understood that he crashed up the hill.
Okay. And what about Dean? Because Dean was made the whole shot in the first start, and then the red flag came out, and then didn't make such a good start, and then ended up not finishing the race. I guess the only good thing, if there is a good thing to come out of him not finishing, is the fact that he could have been leading, you know, the first restart and then had that problem and then gone out. What was the problem? Was it a bike problem? Was he crash or?
I didn't speak with Steve Dixon yet, so the team manager, but I think it was a bike problem.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a big change of things, you know, because you have the first start, you have Yamaha 1, 2, and 3. You think like, oh, okay, great. You know?
And qualifying first and second yesterday also.
And first and second yesterday, and then you know you have the second start today, and then okay, finally we were 7th, 8th, and. Christoph, I think he was 25th after the first in the first part anyway, and then he was 15th after the first lap.
I mean, this was the qualifying. You know, the two monster guys up front. Of course, Maxim. We'll talk about Maxim first, actually, while we're looking at him. He's a good kid. He's got a bright future, but he's been sort of consistent and gradually improving, but yesterday was a massive moment for him, wasn't it? Leading, you know, the qualifying race at home at the French Grand Prix, but just only being beaten by his teammate. And they put on a great display, didn't they, yesterday? Lots of overtaking. Yeah,
it was really, really good. It's really difficult, actually, to watch if you have two riders leading and they're fighting with each other, but I guess it's a luxury problem, no? So, no, that's good. We were speaking with Maxime and said, okay, now it's time that, you know, you've learned the bike, and the bike is really powerful, and he's learned how to ride it. He has learned how to work with the team and everything. Because there is a culture difference, because he's French, maybe a little bit shy. The team is English, so for him was a little bit
not so shy.
Not so shy. I can add. Also, it's funny because if the team wants to make him at ease and they make a joke, it's difficult for him to understand the language. So it's a little bit difficult. But now it's getting better. So we were speaking to him like, okay, now it's time for you to make a step. But yesterday he made a jump. It was really good to see. Yeah.
And again, just unfortunate that the first start was red flagged because of a problem with the start gate. But what about Christophe Charlier? Been a European champion with Yamaha when it was Garibaldi Yamaha back in 2009. But since he's come into MX2, again, a rider that suffered with injuries, but this year seems to be believing in himself a bit more, gaining momentum, realising his potential is probably the best way I'd put it. Do you agree?
Yes, absolutely agree.
What's changed with him?
I think he's become a little bit older. Basically, and the way he's training now is really much more serious than maybe it was 3-4 years ago. And he's really committed, and he's really stable, and he's really consistent as well. I think he finished 3 or 4 times 4th this year. So it's about time for him now to get on the podium. And I think he had all chances here, but then again, the start.
Well, I was going to say before you said, he's been 3rd and 4th, 4th and 5th, and that kind of thing. I guess the expectation, this is a big year for him then, isn't it, Christophe Charlier?
Yes.
He needs to get on the podium on a regular basis. Just trying to think where he is in the points at the moment, but in terms of expectation, should he be finishing top 5 in the championship this year with, what, 10 rounds left to go, do you think?
Top 5.
Top 5?
Top 5.
Top 3?
Top 3.
Yeah?
Top 3. Yeah. He's 5th now.
Yeah.
He should be finishing top 3. I think it's difficult because with the points gap to be second place, but it's not impossible, I think. And I think the bike is strong enough to be on the podium every weekend. And the same for Dean's bike. So the bike is completely different. So Steve Dixon bike from the UK, Cosworth powered. The other one developed by the Italians, Rinaldi. Both bikes are really strong. So basically, I'm expecting them, hoping them to fight every weekend for the podium.
And that's the thing, isn't it? Jeffrey, apart from his crash yesterday, he was a little bit out of sorts today, but still won the race. But Dylan, you know, you could say, okay, Dylan, Geordie's strong in second at the moment, but everybody else, they can be second, third, fourth. They can win a race. This is a crash from Hurlings. Look, the back. This was. Did you see it yesterday?
I didn't see it yesterday. No, I didn't see it yesterday.
Yeah, that's the first time I've seen it on video. But I was stood just off that corner, just on the hillside, and I was looking directly at it. And he travelled a long, long way to Jeffrey Hurlings. But obviously the two Yamahas had to go side by side, and Jeffrey's still moving there. Look. But he was very lucky, wasn't he? That could have been a championship-ending moment for him. But in terms of, you know, going back to before we saw the crash there, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, maybe even down to 10th. It's possible for a number of guys, 10 or 15 guys. So I guess from your point that Charlier should be getting third, he just needs to be consistently doing better than those guys, because every one of those guys I've just mentioned can be inconsistent, can't they? That's what we're seeing. Yeah,
absolutely. It's very important for him to get good starts. So I think there are several races where he was really strong in one heat, and the other heat he had a bad start, and then it's just very difficult to be on the podium. I think that's basically it.
Okay. Away from motocross, you are Yamaha racing manager, sort of on a media promotional sort of division kind of level.
It's a bit vague.
Explain to the people exactly what your role is, because you're also involved in MotoGP, aren't you? With
not so much in MotoGP.
Not anymore.
No, not so much in MotoGP.
Okay.
So we support a little bit on the PR side for that.
Yeah.
But I'm involved basically in all other world championships of Yamaha, excluding MotoGP from a team and rider point of view. So I'm not involved in that part.
And that's purely Lynn Jarvis then, who's obviously the team manager and the principal there and everything else. Ex-motocross background as well. Used to work at Mitsui Yamaha down in London, in the back room, in the stores, and he's worked his way right up to the top. But while we're talking about MotoGP, it's been interesting this year, hasn't it? Valentino Rossi's back.
Yep. Very exciting.
Lorenzo is the king of Yamaha at the moment, won a couple of titles with you guys. But it's looking to be an interesting season, isn't it? You know, with Danny Pedrosa at Honda and Marc Marquez coming up.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
Also Cal, to be honest.
It's what?
Cal Crutchlow.
Yeah. Oh, so, yeah. I mean, he's having a great ride.
Yeah, he's really doing a really good job as well.
In terms of that side of things, I mean, are you able to elaborate on that anywhere else? Because you know, we've got Jorge, we've got Valentino. Valentino there for 1 or 2 years.
2 years.
2 years. So whatever happens this year, he's still there next year. But what about Cal? Because you read in Motorcycle News this year, you know, there's reports maybe that he's, you know, maybe got to go somewhere else because it's like Yamaha are tightening the budgets or whatever and that kind of thing. But he's a guy that's come from World Superbike where other guys in World Superbike have failed. And he's got on the podium. Even James Toseland, the two-time world champion.
Yes.
You know, he couldn't make it succeed in MotoGP. But Cal's got something, hasn't he?
Cal definitely has got something special. For me, Cal is also special because basically Yamamoto Europe. So we signed him from the UK to go to the World Supersport team, and then he became world champion in the first year.
Yeah.
And then I said, okay, if you're world champion, we want to move you to the World Superbike team, and he did a really good job there. And then he made the next step. So he's a perfect example of somebody stepping up through the range within Yamaha. So that's perfect. Now, I guess your question is a little bit sensitive regarding Cal the coming year, so it's difficult for me to answer. Also, to be honest,
I never asked anything.
No, it's fine. Anyway, I just hope that they find somehow a solution because he definitely deserves the maximum chance because he's really committed. He's a training animal and he's doing a really good job.
Okay, and I know we're just about out of time here, but quickly, it's pretty busy for manufacturers at the moment, isn't it? Just after Majora, we've got talk of manufacturers and Ustream FIM getting together because of potential changes in the future.
Yes.
We haven't got the time to go into them now, but does motocross need change really quickly?
That's a very good question. I think we should talk about why it needs to change and then see if we can find a solution.
Okay. Well, look, we are out of time here. Our live studio show this week at Erne, round 8 of the FIM Motocross World Championship. Thanks to Elliot Banks-Brown, HM Plant KTM UK, and of course Jeremy Van Horebeek, Kawasaki Racing Team, and Lawrence Klein-Korkamp for his insightful knowledge as always. Like I say, that's it. We'll see you again in a week's time. Maggiore, the Italian Grand Prix. We're taking a trip down memory road next week because we're back for the first time in many, many years, and there's going to be all kinds of celebrations going on. So hope you can join us then. But for now, my name's Paul Malin. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. Bye for now.